All right, we're here on a beautiful rainy day in Johnstown, New York to check out our latest project that we have. This is an unbelievable home. It's 4 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, old Victorian home. The woodwork in here is incredible. I got this property, it was an off-market deal, but through a real estate agent. So the seller knew there were some issues with the property. They hired a real estate agent and they said we wouldn't want to put it on the market. Just bring in a couple of investors, let's do a deal today. And I was lucky enough to be one of the people that got the phone call. So can't wait for you to see this house. Okay, the first time I came in here, it was completely filled with trash and debris. So you couldn't really get a sense of what we were buying. But what I could see was this unbelievable woodwork and I completely fell in love with it. Just the attention to detail on some of this stuff is incredible. You don't find this in the more modern, homes that we normally rehab. So we're gonna keep as much of this as we can. And it's just incredible. Like, look at this door here. This is a pocket door that probably weighs a couple 100 pounds. You can't go buy this stuff. These are, heavy, thick wooden doors. Just incredible stuff that I fell in love with. And again, we're gonna try to really keep the character of this property, but then modernize it enough that a family will come in here and be very comfortable at the same time. One of the business strategies I've always done is to try to buy properties close to my house. It just makes it easier. If we have deliveries or if I have to meet contractors, to be within a short radius of where you live just makes this easier. Johnstown's the exception to that rule. I live about an hour and 10 minutes from here, but I bought this house because I love Johnstown. Earlier in my life, when I was in my 20s, I played a couple seasons of semi-pro football, and I just fell in love with the area. I fell in love with the people here, fell in love with the homes. So it was a great part of my life when I was younger, and now I'm thrilled that I get to improve the area and kind of give back to the community that gave me so much in my younger days. All right, here's the kitchen, and this is the biggest decision that I still have to make. What do we do with this kitchen? Kind of a weird old style layout here. In the 70s, this was probably the way to do it. It's one big countertop, just a stovetop, and then the 2 ovens over on this side. Back then, it probably was great. Now it makes it feel really blocky and you got to walk around and it's not really functional. So we're probably going to open this up a little bit, more modernize this. But again, with a old Victorian home, the dilemma is you don't want a fully updated modern kitchen either. It may not match the rest of the property. So finding that balance of something that's new and functional, but still adds character and value to the property is going to be our dilemma with this one. So stay tuned for future videos as well. You'll see the after of this property and see what I actually did. We're up here in the attic, and this is just incredible space that we might finish, but really if you look, there's lots of garbage up here and a lot of bird droppings. A lot of these old homes, there's little cracks in some of the windows and some of these small window panes are actually broken. So birds have been able to come in here. So we're gonna clean all this stuff out and fix those windows today. We have to secure the property. That's step number 1. So what went wrong with flipping this gigantic house? Well, that video probably felt like it ended abruptly. The reason is it went under contract so quickly, we never got a chance to go up and film the after of that property. But that was the issue. It went under contract, they demanded we cancel all future showings, and then sure enough, 3 weeks later, that deal fell through. So we had to start completely over. So what else went wrong with that house? Now I want to talk about some of the issues that we had with the actual rehab of this old Victorian. The woodwork in this house is the reason I fell in love with it, but it created one of the biggest challenges I've ever had. The work was so intricate in some of the areas that it was tough to repair. It was tough to recreate new wood into it and make it look like it fit. So it was the biggest issue we had. Second issue with the actual construction was these old homes all have plaster walls. And there was electrical issues in this house that we had to redo. Normal sheetrock, you can just cut into it and tape it and then repair it. Old plaster created just some nightmare issues for my construction team. So to summarize and close with the real issues of flipping a house of this size is the cost of everything. Your normal cookie cutter home, I know what that costs. Doing a house of this scale, the costs were a lot more. The roof on this property was actually more than double what I normally spend on a roof. We had to bring in a 40-foot boom lift just to get the materials on the roof because of how tall this house was. I had to pay for all of that. So the roof was more than double what I normally pay. I mentioned before the plaster. We had to redo all the electrical work. We had to clean all that plaster up. The electricians had to charge me for cutting into plaster. It takes longer than regular sheetrock. So that was double the cost. Then the sheer scale of the house. Painting it Took almost a month to paint this house. We painted the inside and the outside. That's double how long it normally takes my team to paint a house. So bottom line, the costs were a lot more on this property. One of my other big concerns towards the end of the rehab was this is a very unique property. Not every buyer is looking for a huge Victorian home with this much intricate woodwork in it. So that was a big concern of mine. Will this property sell? And luckily, we put it back on the market after the first deal fell through, and we were able to sell it again. But then we had to do the inspection. It's a 180-year-old home that was partially rehabbed. So the inspector could have found a million things. Luckily enough, my guys did an amazing job on this property. We found a few small things that we had to repair during the inspection. So it was a big concern, but we were able to fix it. So it really leads me to the last question of, would I flip another gigantic Victorian? And the answer is yes. I love the challenge of doing it. Typically, most houses we do are your standard regular homes. So this really brought out some creative work with me and my design team, and it was a lot of fun. And to see the excitement of the finished product made it all worthwhile. So I would definitely do it again.